The UAE faced a major cyber threat, with advanced and coordinated attacks aimed at critical infrastructure. But who is behind the digital assault? Hackers targeted networks supporting the UAE's aviation, energy and education sectors, attempting to breach digital infrastructure, compromise operational systems and seize user accounts. The Gulf cyber war is intensifying as the UAE repels this latest wave, following sophisticated attacks on the country's financial sector in July. The UAE says it outsmarted the coordinated attacks before vital systems were compromised, preventing disruption to critical services. But the attempted breaches show how rapidly the cyberfront is expanding. The UAE's state-run Cyber Security Council says it has thwarted coordinated cyber attacks targeting critical national infrastructure, preventing systems from being compromised. The attacks targeted the UAE's aviation, energy and education sectors, 3 areas where even a short digital disruption could have serious national consequences. Attackers reportedly tried to breach digital networks, seize operational accounts and access sensitive data, but UAE authorities say the attempts were blocked before they could take hold. The attacks were dealt with proactively and immediately, with intrusion attempts contained before the attackers could achieve their objectives or effect. The continuity of vital systems and services. The attacks involved multiple vectors and techniques, including attempts to breach systems and digital infrastructure, target accounts and operational data, as well as targeted phishing campaigns and attempts to exploit users as an entry point into the targeted environments. National cybersecurity teams successfully detected and repelled these activities, tracked their attack paths and associated indicators of compromise, and took the necessary technical measures to neutralize the threats and prevent their spread. In July, the UAE also foiled a separate wave of sophisticated cyber attacks aimed at the country's financial sector, including core banking and payments infrastructure. Authorities said those attacks caused no disruption to financial services, with national cyber defenses detecting and containing the threats before banking operations were affected. The Gulf state has launched the UAE Cyber Factory to strengthen its national digital defenses and reduce reliance on foreign cybersecurity technologies. The Cyber Factory is designed to build AI-powered systems that can detect, predict, and stop cyber threats faster as attacks grow more sophisticated. The latest cyber alerts come as tensions remain high across the Gulf amid the US-Iran conflict, raising fears that the regional confrontation could increasingly play out online as well as on the battlefield. Trump says Washington is low-keying it with Iran, signaling no immediate new US offensive as the administration waits to see whether pressure and diplomacy deliver a breakthrough. The US president says his administration is only semi-negotiating with Tehran, according to Axios, reflecting the absence of a full direct diplomatic process. Trump says the US is just watching Iran as economic pressure continues to bear down on Tehran. Trump says the US naval blockade has deepened economic pressure on Iran, precisely the policy Tehran wants removed before it agrees to fully reopen Hormuz. Trump also argues that oil prices above $75 a barrel have limited the war's impact on US consumers, even as Hormuz tensions continue to unsettle global energy markets. Donald Trump said, and I quote, "We are low-keying it. We are only semi-negotiating with them. We are just watching Iran with its huge inflation and the fact they have no money. It will work out. It always works out. It's like a chess game." Unquote. Trump's remarks suggest Iran's resistance has kept Washington from immediate military escalation, even as US pressure and threats remain in place. Meanwhile, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian says Tehran backs talks with the US from a position of power and unity, arguing that negotiations must secure Iran's legitimate rights, not require surrender.
I believe the present moment is the most opportune time for an agreement between Iran and the U.S. With this cohesion, power, and unity, and as far as I know, and perhaps you know even more, we can compel the entire world to perceive Iran as a true victor of this war and conflict. Armed with this authority, we can secure our legitimate rights through these dialogues. Ultimately, they must acknowledge and grant us what is rightfully ours. Naturally, we seek nothing beyond the rights and due entitlements of our country and our people. We remain determined, God willing, to proceed with that same Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding, provided that the U.S. stops fostering an atmosphere of mistrust and instead cultivates a climate of genuine confidence, because America is indeed profoundly unreliable. Nevertheless, If we can make any meaningful headway toward resolving the outstanding issues, we are sparing no effort to do so.
Iran's Supreme National Security Council has revealed drastic new conditions for reopening the Strait of Hormuz amid the ongoing standoff with Washington. Iran said the Strait of Hormuz would remain closed until the US corrected its behavior, according to Iranian state broadcaster Press TV. Council Secretary Mohammad Bagher al-Ghodda announced the conditions, with Iranian state media detailing Tehran's demands for reopening the strategic waterway. Iran's latest position turned reopening the Strait of Hormuz into a broader demand for major concessions from the United States. Iran has demanded an end to all US threats and what it calls insults to Iran's national and religious values. Tehran wants attacks on Iran and its allies in Lebanon, Palestine, Yemen, and Iraq to be permanently halted. Iran has called for the US naval blockade to be lifted and US naval and air forces withdrawn from around Iran. Tehran is demanding compensation for damage caused by what it describes as two imposed wars. Iran has also demanded the removal of all US sanctions imposed against the country. Tehran is seeking the unconditional release of all Iranian assets currently frozen abroad. However, journalist Barak Ravid said the conditions were demands that the United States clearly cannot accept. Barak Ravid warned that Iran's demands could leave President Trump with fewer diplomatic options and push Washington back toward a military response.
Our negotiations with Oman concern the determination of the transit route in the Strait of Hormuz. There has been a route since old times known as the TSS. Given what occurred during the war, this route must definitely be relocated. We are negotiating for a new TSS, but due to the technical and legal complexities that this route will involve, we are currently discussing a temporary route, which will naturally serve as the basis for that final route, the final TSS. We are talking about a temporary route, and we are very close to a result. Work is being carried out on the maps of this route, which were prepared by the armed forces. Negotiations have taken place between the naval forces of the two countries, and the details are currently being finalized. I think we will be able to conclude these negotiations very, very soon. Establishing this route between Iran and Oman does not necessarily mean the opening of the Strait of Hormuz that is subject to other conditions. The violations of the Memorandum of Understanding committed by the United States must be compensated for one by one, and all of them must be addressed so that the possibility regarding the Strait of Hormuz can be considered based on the judgment of the Supreme National Security Council. Let me state explicitly that the current situation is the result of the violation of the Memorandum of Understanding by the United States. In the Strait of Hormuz, the text of Clause 5 of the Memorandum of Understanding regarding the Strait is completely clear. It states that Iran will take measures to ensure the Strait of Hormuz remains open, and we were carrying out this work. According to Clause 5, within 1 month, traffic should have returned to pre-war conditions and pre-war volumes, and we were in the process of doing this. In the nearly 2 weeks since the implementation of the memorandum, traffic had reached approximately 60% of pre-war levels and was continuing to expand. The Americans came and created new routes which, in my opinion, were aimed at questioning or undermining Iran's management of the Strait of Hormuz. It was pointed out and stated many times that these actions, opening new routes, opening new corridors, and establishing new arrangements, are contrary to the Memorandum of Understanding. Yet, they insisted on directing ships toward routes other than the one specified by Iran, and the result was that we faced the conditions we are dealing with now. In any case, we will not tolerate anyone attempting to violate the Memorandum of Understanding and expect it to go unanswered. As you know, the Caspian Convention was signed between Iran and the 4 other coastal states of the Caspian Sea during previous governments. I believe in the year 2018 to 2019, I am uncertain, and it was referred to the Islamic Consultative Assembly by this government. The decision rests with the Honorable Parliament to decide on the convention, and we will abide by whatever decision the Parliament makes. In the 4 other coastal countries of the Caspian Sea, this convention has been approved. Its implementation is contingent upon approval by the Islamic Consultative Assembly, and we will abide by whatever opinion the Parliament may have. Our share of the Caspian Sea is not an issue addressed in this convention. This is a major misunderstanding. due to disagreements regarding the baseline and the division of the seabed and subsoil, which are the 3 points presented to the public as Iran's share. Because these were disputed at the time the convention was being negotiated, they were completely omitted from the convention and deferred to bilateral negotiations between the Caspian coastal states. Therefore, this convention does not enter into the discussion of determining the baseline, the seabed, or the division of the seabed and subsoil. The issue known as Iran's share is not mentioned in the convention at all. The important point is that the other Caspian Sea countries, especially Russia, insist that this convention be implemented sooner because it contains certain provisions that are in the interest of the regional countries, including the mandatory absence of any foreign military forces in the Caspian Sea. This is a key principle present in the convention, and until it is implemented, none of the Caspian coastal countries can be blamed for entering into military cooperation with another country in the Caspian Sea.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now.